COSATU President Zingiswa Losi is expected to deliver a keynote address at a Mayday rally event at Athlone Stadium in Cape Town. This year's theme is building a strong and united COSATU and mobilizing for the ANC electoral victory. The union says it will use the day to mobilize workers across the province to vote for the ANC in the Western Cape on the 29th of May. So what else can workers expect today across the country? We'll bring in now COSATU President Zingiswa Losi joining us digitally. For more on this. Madam President, a good morning to you. Thank you so much for speaking to us. It's interesting that even in the theme of the May Day celebrations today, you've made it very clear that COSATU is pushing for an ANC win of the elections of the 29th of May. This is, of course, after the past 2 years, there has been some contention about whether or not COSATU would support the SACP in this year's elections. Why is this important for you to do?
Thank you, Naledi, and greetings to the viewers of Newzroom Afrika. It is important for us because it is a decision that COSATU took. We always respect the decision that the Federation takes and we go and implement them because those are not decisions of leaders, are decisions of members taken in constitutional meetings of the Federation. Also importantly for us is that we understand that this is a different year of elections. We are more taken back to 1994. And COSATU, when we go back to history, there is only one political party that has stood with workers in this country, that has passed legislation that are pro-workers with all the challenges. But where we are today, it is because the African National Congress has always understood that it has to always ensure that it leans towards the side of workers and the working class in our country.
Okay. You have, of course, asked, though, for a reconfiguration of the tripartite alliance in the run-up to this election. And one of the issues that COSATU and even the SACP have brought up about this alliance has been that you felt that you're not included in policy decisions. That has changed?
Look, COSATU, when I speak for the Federation, I can tell you now, in part of the policy position and policy legislation, we've always participated. We came up with a number of, for an example, if you are to look into the national minimum wage, it came with the Federation, we spoke with the ANC, it took us over a decade, we finally have it. The issue of this social relief distress grant, as one example, we brought it up in the alliance meeting as alliance partners. We went to NEDLAC, we spoke about it, we continue to speak at the political alliance, we have it today. The issues of the national health insurance bill and a number of policy legislation, the issue of the two-part pension reforms are issues that the Federation came with, tabled with the alliance. We went to different parts of the legislation houses. And now today we are expecting on the 1st of September that this will be implemented. Indeed, we always say that if we are going to talk about the reconfiguration, we reconfigure the alliance as we move along. Naledi, we are not waiting, we are not standing still. We can speak about some certain issues, but I can tell you that as much as we emphasize the issue of a reconfigured alliance, for COSATU it is at the policy position, but we can also say that we are not waiting for a moment where a piece of paper is signed. We are actually implementing a reconfigured alliance as we move along.
Okay.
The issue, for an example, of who gets deployed in Parliament, in the administration, in terms of cabinet, the president does not move along with that decision, having not checked with the alliance partners to an extent. When the Federation is not happy with some of the deployees that the president is going to be putting up, we're able to be listened to, and some of those, if there is a good reason that we're putting up, the ANC is prepared to withdraw certain names. So we are saying we are not going to wait. We're talking about the reconfigured alliance. We are on the ground currently with all alliance partners, reconfiguring ourselves, ensuring that we work together as an alliance with all the differences that we may have. Because remember, We are an independent federation from the ANC, but we're in alliance with the ANC, so is the party and SANCO. So you would expect that there will be some differences here and there. There will be some clashes, but we understand where we are going because ours is about the working people of our country.
I mean, it's interesting that you say that you feel as a federation that you have been listened to, when previously you had COSATU need to take COSATU to court over your resolution to support the SACP. But and I talked about this earlier, the theme of Mayday celebrations is very, very emphatic, right? And again, it is mobilizing, building a strong and united COSATU and mobilizing for the ANC electoral victory. Could this turnaround in the COSATU approach do with the fact that you really are concerned that the ANC could see less than 50% of the vote on post the 29th of May?
Naledi, we must say that the issue of COSATU taking us to court was not more on the supporting the SACP. They were arguing a process in Congress. But when the outcomes came, COSATU took a decision to support the African National Congress because also the SACP is not ready. The SACP is rallying itself behind the ANC. But we have never had a discussion where we are saying we're no longer in alliance with the ANC. So we took a decision, we said we're supporting the ANC. We understand, Naledi, the difficulties that are there. And we are not shying away from those difficulties. But what we are clear of is that there is no other party in South Africa that contests elections that have given workers at least the freedom that we have today. Today, if you look since 1994, it is the African National Congress that has passed the Labour Relations Act that has put in the Constitution, in terms of Chapter 2 of the Bill of Rights, a right for workers to form a trade union and join a trade union of their choice. It has given us a right to go on strike. It has given us a right to protest. It has given us a right to assemble. It has given us in a workplace, we have put up basic conditions of employment act, which we have recently amended together with the government of the ANC and employers to ensure that workers continue to work under safe environment. And we have extended the protection of workers as a result. And for an example, the national minimum wage, you would know, Naledi, that the DA has just said that they are anti the national minimum wage. Look, in the past, we must never forget where we're coming from. We're coming from a history where Black majority in this country have worked as domestic workers, have worked as farm workers, continue to work as such, have been earning a mere 6 rand an hour. The government of the ANC have moved us from that past and said there shall be no worker in South Africa that earns below 27 rand 58 cents an hour. And the DA that wants to govern this country is saying to workers, this is one thing that we stand against. And therefore, the capital in this country must continue to amass profits at the expense of workers. The DA is saying to workers and is promising teachers, nurses, and doctors that we are going to be cutting your wages. And you want us as workers to rally behind or leave workers to rally behind such a political party that is promising us that workers in this country have too much rights, and we think that you need to go back to before 1994, where you had no right to assemble, where you had no right to stand and have a voice for yourself, where you will be earning a decent living wage in this country.
Let me ask you this, because, and you talk about the proposal by the DA, and I think wording is important, right? I think what they've proposed is not increasing the minimum wage. The explanation that they give is that essentially to allow inflation to erode away the value of those wages, and then in turn create more opportunities to create more people, more opportunities for more people to join the labor market. Essentially, though, and I'm taking from that, what they're trying to say is we need to create more jobs, and so let's make it less expensive to do so. What do we do then? There's, of course, the view that on May Day we'll focus on workers when we have 10 million unemployed people in the country that are watching today and waiting for their opportunity. What do we say to that 10 million?
Naledi, depriving workers to earn a living wage and be able to consume the products they are producing is not building an economy. Building an economy is ensure that you create an conducive environment to allow investors both in the country and outside to come and invest. You fight crime and corruption. You create an conducive environment. We fix ESCOM. We fix Transnet. We fix all of what becomes important. We allow investors to invest in South Africa. We support businesses in this country to also go beyond the borders of South Africa to go and invest. You create employment and you allow the working people of South Africa then to enter the labor market. Also, you ensure that you support the black industrialists so that people do not just wake up in the morning to go and look for employment. They are able to create employment themselves.
Yep.
But for you to say, until we're able to push the levels of employment in this country, those that are earning at 12 rands an hour must remain at 12 rands an hour. When as a leader, you are saying that, if tomorrow someone would say to you, take a 12 rands an hour yourself and cut everything, you are not prepared to do that. The bosses that are expected to be creating employment in this country are earning themselves 55 million per annum. So you are squeezing the one that is already at the bottom so that the one is already at the top must continue to balloon. We don't think that it is correct for the DA to even make that argument because they are saying nothing about the bosses that continue to profit, that continue to share the profits that are coming from the sweat of the employees. But they are saying to employees, to the workers, remain where you are, be patient, because we're trying to deal with the rest of the 10 million that is unemployed. But if we were to say to the bosses, share what you have already made, share and reduce what you are earning so that you are able to create employment and employ and pay salaries to those that are unemployed. Tell me, if you take the CEOs of these companies that are earning at 55 million per annum, how many workers would you pay if you were to pay them at 27 rand 58 cents an hour?
I'm sorry, Ms. Losi, I'm running out of time. I need to squeeze one last question in. I think this is an important one. A lot of people having interest in this. Of course, COSATU was described former President Jacob Zuma as a board pensioner making confused meanderings, essentially saying that the African National Congress should not listen to what you called the confused meanderings of a board pensioner. You stand by that statement?
It has been proven. COSATU has been proven to be correct. Look at what is happening. Look at the implosion that takes place in that organization. You can never say today to the people of South Africa, the ANC has done nothing to yourselves. You have no reason to vote against the ANC. Do not stand with a board Jacob Zuma that has his issues with the ANC and you side yourself with Jacob Zuma, that he himself describes himself in that video when he was campaigning. And how else he has defined himself. You can see the implosion. Those that formed that party are the ones that are expelled today from the same party that they are formed. What is it? So that's playing with power. And it means that you are encouraging personality cult in an organization and you want that person to run the state beyond the time that he was given. And at minimum, he couldn't.
Well, we know you've got a very busy day ahead of you on this Mayday as you get ready to deliver the keynote this morning at the Athlone Stadium alongside the President. Of course, we do hope that you don't have a repeat of Mayday 2022 when the President was booed in the Northwest during Mayday celebrations. But that there, Zingiswa Losi, the President of the largest trade union federation in the country, COSATU.